Welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. For 10 years, Chandra Pitts has been committed to growing Delaware's youth into their true greatness throughout her nonprofit organization, One Village Alliance. She joins us now to share with us her journey as an entrepreneur and how her organization is shaping the lives of our youth to be the better person that they can be. Welcome to the show, Chandra. It's such an honor to have you here today.
Thank you, Yesenia. I'm really honored to be here. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Yes, thank you. Let's get into a little bit about who you are as a person. I mean, I know you've been doing so many things within the last 10 years. For those who don't know Chandra, which I find it's pretty hard not to know Chandra, right? Give us a little bit of background about who you are.
So I'm a woman living in all my full girl power. I'm a first-generation Mexican-American. And, you know, my parents have been activists and leaders in the community. And, you know, I feel like I'm the legacy of not only my parents, but so many who have come before me, my ancestors, my mentors, and people who have just paved the way. So I'm here doing what I feel I have to do to really live out their legacy.
And talk to us about that perspective in regards to just being the daughter of two parents who've been trailblazers within our community, with the Miss Mexico pageant and People's Festival and so many other initiatives. What was that like for you growing up to see this type of leadership within your family?
Well, it was amazing because I think that we grew together in activism. Yeah, that's my mom. So she's been, you know, my number one mentor in my life and giving me that guidance. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and many of us, the majority of us, are business leaders and entrepreneurs. So just growing up with my dad being a bamboo craftsman, and of course he was a longshoreman here in Delaware for many years, but he had that entrepreneurial spirit, that leadership spirit, and wanting to give back to the community, appreciating music and the arts. And then my mom the same way, just her fearless voice of activism and standing up for the people in so many different ways. We were well traveled around the world, so it really shaped who I am personally, but also what I have been honored to know now as my career path. So it's been really good.
And having a part Hispanic in your ethnicity, talk to us a little bit about that part of your life growing up, and Hispanic Heritage Month is right around the corner.
Definitely.
So what has that been like for you?
It's been a great sense of cultural pride. I think being, you know, Black, sometimes you have this great sense of you feel powerful, you feel strong, but being connected to your roots, sometimes we're disconnected in that way. I've been honored recently to be able to travel to Africa, which was just an amazing experience, but we grew up traveling to Mexico. So my mom was born in León, Guanajuato, and we always got to know our family, and there's just a different sense of pride and strength and courage that comes from that knowledge of self. So it's been really amazing for me, and it's really kept me grounded and given me the fortitude to really charge forward. This is from a recent trip to Ghana, and that again is a whole nother reawakening of self and who I am. So it's been a beautiful journey.
And where did your love and passion for the youth begin? I know you've done work in Jamaica as well. You've done work here in the city of Wilmington with Christiana Cultural Arts Center. Talk to us a little bit about how this began for you.
I honestly have to say I'm one of these very fortunate people who's never had to ask, like, what's my purpose in life? What am I going to do when I grow up? It was born in me. I've always had a great love for youth. This is our Girls Can Do Anything Conference, Africa. But I've always loved to see these faces. And when I think about what I went through as a child, as a girl their age, and what the school experience was like, what my home experience was like, I dealt with a lot of tribulations, and a lot of times we find great purpose in great pain. So school was a very negative experience for me. I experienced a lot of isms in school, and then my home life as well. We had some challenges, and just me as, you know, going through bullying and depression and feelings of inadequacy growing up, and really feeling like I had to fight for justice, for what was just and right. And that was just born in me. And I've always had a great sense of compassion. So I'd be 7 years old in the backseat of my car, like wondering what was going on behind other closed doors, or sitting in the classroom watching a kid get bullied and standing up for that kid. So I've always been that person, and I'm still standing up for those kids who feel inadequate, who are experiencing violence, the violence of poverty, homelessness, and hunger, because those things are violence,
right,
as well as the criminal things in our community that are happening. So it gives me a great sense of purpose, and we don't often realize how powerful one person and one voice can be in bringing light to a dark space.
That's right. And you've crossed waters. You're right here in Delaware. One may think, little small town Delaware, what can you do and how can you be a person of impact and influence? And through your journey, you're showing us that not only can you do your organization's nonprofit, Girls Can Do Anything here in Delaware, but you've taken it overseas to Africa to have the same cause reached over there as well. Take us back to that experience, and if there's any similarities you've seen, as you mentioned, with poverty and things of that nature, between Delaware and Ghana.
Yeah, a lot of experiences. A lot of times, first of all, I have to say, if you look at my earring, Malcolm X, I always keep the presence of the powerful people who came before me, and I really look up to those people, and I garner a lot of strength from just studying other people, not just people who have passed away, but I connected with my mentor, Marion Brown Hinson, who's recently passed away, but I had the opportunity to work with her. When I set out to start One Village Alliance, I looked around the country of who was doing similar things. A lot of times we let envy and things kind of stand in our way, but I really get inspired by and gravitate to people who are doing really positive things, whether those people are older than me or younger than me. So these kids really inspire me all over the world. And when we think about, Africa, our psychology kind of says, oh, there's poverty, it's third world countries, Africa is an entire continent. We're talking about over 50 countries that are part of that continent, and some of the richest, most beautiful, inspiring places in just that one country in Ghana that I've ever been in the world. And so we don't see poverty, we see different ways of life, but it's kids having a great time together. There's not even an acknowledgement of bullying each other. There's other issues, but they're not experiencing like peer violence and bullying like we see it here happening in our schools. And while they're living a different way of life, we may see, they still have, dry erase boards and their desks are made of pieces of wood and nails, but this is not a lifestyle of poverty that we're seeing. They're really rich in so many ways that we're not, while we have a lot of luxuries that they don't. So the power is in bridging the gap between youth, women and girls, young men throughout the Delaware Valley, and across the oceans to the continent of Africa. And the power is in them being able to connect and share their stories.
And this picture really resonated with me right now at this moment, because here I'm seeing the birth of an idea, a dream that you had 10 years ago become reality in a whole nother country. Talk to us about that. I mean, I know you used to be an employee and you left that mindset 10 years ago, became the entrepreneur woman you are. Take us back 10 years ago to that moment in your life and how you birthed One Village Alliance.
I was feeling like I was going to work every day, and I thought if I get a job working with youth organizations, that would be enough. I just want to do this work, but it's bigger than the work. I've really put a lot of emphasis on impact. How is our work changing the world? And when we're going to a job and it's just complacency there, or the biggest topic of every conversation is the funders and how we're catering to them and what our posters and billboards and flyers and social media pages look like, we're leaving the communities out. So 10 years ago, I was working with multi-million-dollar organizations that had these huge budgets, and the community was there was such a huge gaps in information and resources. There were voids. There was a lot of duplicate programming for different pockets of the community, but very little, for example, for men and boys of color. So we started this organization to bridge those gaps. How come there's millions of dollars in our budget, but we just can't seem to produce impact? It's like the more funding there is, the less impact. Where is that gap? And I found, I would have to be honest, that there was a sense of complacency, but more striking was the lack of integrity around how we're really committing and allocating these resources, and what we're willing to do, how uncomfortable, how far away from our desk and swivel chair are we willing to step to be able to reach kids with a sense of urgency, because they really need us. They've been strategically placed in situations that kind of disable them, and we're continuing to enable them to kind of just do less with less, just to say we did it and put something in a grant report. And that's just not enough.
It's not. And just to hear you share your journey and initially how you started, one can really have so much be overwhelmed and so much anxiety when thinking about starting their own nonprofit or for-profit company. And within your first year, you were able to acquire over $2 million.
So I started a business, and any of us can start a business. I don't think we realize the capacity we have. So first of all, it takes real courage to step away, or somebody could do you a favor and end your position or fire you, and that's even better because now you don't have a choice. A lot of times we're like, one day we're going to do it, or I'm going to do it in my spare time, or I'm going to do it after work, and then our dream kind of ends up a dream deferred 20 and 30 years to retirement, and maybe not even then. So I actually started a business. I never had the desire to start a nonprofit organization. I really wanted to do the work, and I didn't even know what that meant. But I know I wanted to do programming, and I wanted to do it for free. But when I realized how long and the resources it took to start a nonprofit, I said, I'll just start a business and fund the work myself. And I started a business, in my very first contract, it was it takes real work. People reach out to me all the time, like, I have this idea for a nonprofit. I'm like, first of all, why? But, people want to do good work, and I love that, but they're not willing to put the work in to your idea. I had to turn my idea into a 115-page federal funding proposal, and we won. But I did 6 months of research, convening a team, pulling all the pieces together, writing day in and day out. And we won a multi-million-dollar federal contract, and we launched in over 40 schools.
Wow.
So it was really powerful. And from that, I began to fund the work and start One Village Alliance with my own money. And not a lot of people know that story. Well, now people know. But it's my own resources that I commit. I'm first in.
And it takes a village.
It takes a whole village. And I think that there's a lot of individuals who don't know where to start. And One Village Alliance, I could have just stayed with my own business, but Coach Wayne is here and, working with our youth. But there's so many individuals who don't know where to start. And we raised the platform of One Village Alliance as a community base from which to start. So someone can contact us today, walk in today, and have significant, meaningful, transformative impact in the lives of children, mothers, fathers, anybody.
And talk to us. So I see so many different photos in regards to you with these children. What is One Village Alliance all about?
So One Village Alliance, we our whole mission is to grow youth into their true greatness through education, entrepreneurship, and the arts. So one thing that you'll see us doing is the kids are fully engaged. We've had people come in like, we've never seen kids that engaged, but we have the music, we have arts. We're bringing learning to life in ways that really connects to what the kids' interests are. So instead of talking about math, we're talking about numbers, and put a dollar sign in front of any number, and all of a sudden kids and everybody else are drawn in, where you might have thought you hate math, but you love money. So let's just change the way we talk about things. Literacy, let's tell stories, let's research the things, not Shakespeare necessarily, unless that's what you're into, but things that are relevant in your everyday life. What do you care about? What would you like to know more about? And it could be everything from race cars to hunger and homelessness. Our kids are so bright. We have several kids who have been in the foster care system.
Yes, I see that you work with that population as well.
I do work with the population. This is one of our students who has been adopted, and we have several students in our program. We traveled the world a lot when we were young, and I'm on my second passport book, because you fill up your books with stamps. But we have a summer camp that takes inner city youth from high poverty communities on a journey around the world in the summer. And we do that through literature, math, money, and numbers, arts, music, and movement. One of our key funders this year for this initiative was the Delaware Division of the Arts. And, you know, they came to see our program and they said, we've learned more about world cultures in 1 hour than I've known my whole life. And they're really honored to be a funder.
Or even in the school curriculum.
Oh, yeah, it's just
you're
not there.
Empowering them so much in just this one opportunity that they probably won't get throughout their whole school year.
Definitely, but the great thing is while they're experiencing world cultures and the culinary arts and making and tasting food, they're learning how to read recipes and do measurements and make mixtures and you know, engage in fun literacy and numbers activities. So we keep them engaged in learning all summer long, therefore, you know, narrowing the achievement gap and eliminating that summer learning slide because they're having a great time. And our attendance rate is over 90%. These kids love it. They show up every day. There's trips incorporated, and it's at no cost to families. I fund all this work through grants and individual donors and people who just want to make a difference and really make impact.
And it's been working. You're definitely making impact in these children's lives.
They love it.
And now you have two different components. You have the Girls Can Do Anything. You also have the Raising Kings. So you're working with the young girls and the young boys. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about Girls Can Do Anything.
So this is the Girls Can Do Anything conference. We have hundreds of girls. It's in its 7th year, and it's really become one of the most highly sought after experiences for girls throughout the Delaware Valley and well beyond. We have busloads that come from New Jersey, Baltimore, girls that come from Chester, Delaware County, you know, Pennsylvania, Philly, and definitely throughout the state of Delaware. Senator Margaret Rose Henry was the very first person that believed in this with me. We did it at Del Tech, and we've been at Cap Calloway. We just go to different places and communities, and this is actually coming up on in October. So October 11th and 12th, this year's the Girls Can Do Anything conference. It's really growing into a national convening of girls and their parents, which is a key piece. There's a parent component, there's a strong fatherhood component, and a parent component to every single thing we do. Really working to highlight and increase father engagement, because men and fathers are a lot more interested, committed, and engaged in their children's lives than we give them credit for.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, just because they may not be in a marriage or in the same household, our fathers' initiatives are packed, standing room only.
I was going to say, you have a different component for that as well.
Yeah, we do. Well, with Girls Can Do Anything, we have the Girls Can Do Anything conference is a full day experience, but in the afternoon there's a parent summit, and there's a piece called Daddy's Little Girl. So we talk to fathers and to put them all in a room together, and they're sharing stories, experiences, strategies, and skills, because, you know, we never get easier.
Right.
We just get older. So, but it's talking about, you know, a lot of people, this is the Raising Kings initiative, where we bring men and boys together that change society's prominent image and expectations of men and boys of color. But a lot of people really focus on the importance of men in the lives of boys, and men are just the father, and men and male mentors are just as important in the lives of girls.
That's right.
So
it's so wonderful to hear that you're bringing that to both of your organizations, your programs.
Absolutely. And then it's intergenerational. We have some young guys from Del State and University of Delaware who are teaching the younger guys how to tie ties as a part of, and it's all one thing. People are like, well, One Village Alliance does everything, and how does Girls Can Do Anything tie in, and how does Raising Kings, and then Around the World in the Summer is our summer camp. But we're mentoring, we're educating, and we're also doing advocacy. That's why a lot of people know my face and voice, because there's work on the ground level in high poverty communities, but we got to do work with the people who are creating and ensuring in perpetuity that we stay in high poverty communities. So there's a lot of the things that are happening in our communities are really by design, and we have to address those designers and who's designed these policies that keep these communities oppressed. It's not by accident. We didn't get here on our own, and we're not going to get out of it on our own. So we're burning both ends of the candles. The policy and legislation piece and the grassroots community engagement to let kids know that no matter where you are, no matter what systems have been designed and what pitfalls are here for you, that you have greatness within you.
That's
and
right.
you can stay focused and make your own decisions to grow into your true greatness.
And the wonderful thing is you're bringing key leaders to these programs, these conferences, to talk to these young boys and girls, to serve as a purpose as a leader and also a mentor.
Yes.
I mean, you're constantly having speakers at these events, and like Tony Allen and so many others. That
David Miller, Isaiah Boone is here.
Yes.
Darrell Green has been phenomenal. And these are not just speakers, these are partners. I mean, everything we do, it truly takes a whole village. That's not just a
saying.
It's not a slogan for us. And a lot of people say it takes a village and they leave out that key word, whole. It takes a whole village, all of us working together. So Delaware Humanities has been an awesome, our funding partners, Ms. Vernita Dorsey with WISFIS, our funding partners are extraordinary, but each individual around that table, we have about 13 organizations and 23 men and boys who come around to make Raising Kings happen. And we had 1,300 registrants last year.
Wow.
To kick off our year of empowering and changing the image and expectations of men and boys of color on Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
You know, it's not just about Dr. King and those people who have passed long ago. It's about raising up the next generation of Dr. King-like leaders, and that's our boys and our girls.
And
It's us.
It is. And as you're shaping and molding these young individuals, what are some of the key benefits that you've been able to hear back from these kids that you've been able to reach out to?
Mothers are tearful. They need their boys connecting with their own fathers, men in the community. Boys have a new sense of who they can be. It used to be that we step in a room and ask 50 young black men, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, you know, one or two things. And now just to be able to expose them to people like Wally Rushton, I can be an attorney and a really successful one. And David Miller, I can be an author and an international speaker. And Darrell Green, I can be a phenomenal educator who's well respected. Or Isaiah Boone, I can be a photographer. Or Terrence Vann, I can be an artist. You know, it's not that our young black males or our girls will end up one of two places. They can end up one of 2 million plus places. And to expose them and to see their eyes light up and connect to other organizations who come to share their information, and to see them doing great things, entering, you know, being successful through high school, entering college, and connecting to peer mentors, but also adults who can make a positive impact in their lives. The stories that we get from the post evaluations, because of course you need the evaluations every time you do something, is amazing. The kids that really get to travel and they get to go back to school, and while other kids are sharing their summer travel experiences, now they have a story to tell about China or Ghana or Italy. It's really, really empowering, and kids have written us great letters. Parents have reported that their kids are not just doing better in school, but excited about their academics, because we have shed a whole new light on what literacy even means. We've shattered the concept of math and got them excited about numbers. So,
which is very important, because it's going to help them in long term as they become adults, because as we all know, after third grade is kind of when you lose it. If you don't know how to comprehend and read by third grade, life becomes a lot harder for you in the school system and after. And you're really, with your organization, you're really hitting in those demographics and catering towards that, just that whole open grid that needs to be, you know, contacted.
And I'm so excited that it's now become a global movement. So, I mean, we engaged thousands of kids, and our girls can do anything. Curriculum is now in 200 schools in Ghana, and we're going back on October 18th this year. So
yes, I was going to say, talk to us about that. You're going back to Africa pretty soon?
We're going back, and we just want to do more work. So a lot of people don't know, One Village Alliance has connected the Delaware Valley to International Day of the Girl, which the United Nations recognizes. It's a global movement of all things women and girls, and really brings to light a lot of the issues that we're facing, but also a lot of the great things that women and girls are doing around the world. So the Girls Can Do Anything conference launches during that same week, and this year it happens to be on the same day. It's on October 11th. It's Friday. We're going to have a competition called Pitch Like a Girl. It's a pitch competition for girls to share their dreams, their ideas for world change, community change, and just to make life better, which is what I always wanted to do even as a kid, just to make life better for other kids. It doesn't have to be just girls. It's our girls pitching, but they can be pitching ideas in STEM, science, technology, the arts, literature, anything, any idea, not a nonprofit idea they might have, a community-based program, a school-based program, something on their neighborhood block. And we're going to be giving out cash prizes to girls who pitch on October 11th, and then on the 12th is the Girls Can Do Anything conference. So all of that information is right on our website, imthevillage.org. But the great thing, a lot of people know about our events, but we work every single day year round. Every time somebody asks, like, what's your full-time job? It's like, really? This is. So, and it's the 10th year for us. So we're going to be doing some even more explosive things to take our impact, not our brand, not our following, but our real impact to the next level. So.
And before we go, I mean, we can talk for hours about who you are, what you've been doing, but you hold so many titles and to say that you do so much for the community, for your organization. But my biggest thing is you're a woman of color who is leading our community. So when we leave this segment, talk to us and any advice that you can leave with our viewers in regards to what it takes to be the phenomenal woman that you are, and how can one become that person they want to.
You have to know yourself. A lot of people will say you have to believe in yourself, but you have to know it. You have to know your courage. And this is for women, men, everybody watching. You need one person to believe in you, but that person can't be yourself. You got to know it. But then you only need one person to believe in you. You don't need 1 million followers. And then you have to just go. You got to kick in the door if you have to, elevate your voice, and you have to keep going. People are going to discourage you. Just expect it, know it's coming, but stay focused on who you really are. And make sure you're about who you really are, not who you want to be perceived as. That's right. And tune into who you really are and keep going.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it full circle for us, especially in the world that we live in now where social media becomes the norm of someone's
reality
presence.
TV is not TV. And just remember, girls can do anything. I didn't start as a nonprofit or a program. I started and still am a business owner. I started a business, and you can do it. You can buy properties. You can start a business from whatever you may have, whether that's selling bottles of water. I started out selling hot dogs and water at baseball games. Start somewhere and invest in yourself and wake up like you already own it.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you so much for owning the time.
Yes. Oh, and I brought this for you. Remember.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, girls can
so
do
much.
anything, and thank you for being an inspiration.
Yes, I would definitely be rocking this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And on behalf of all of us here at WI 1022, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for watching this episode of In Focus. I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras.